White Sox baseball on CSN Chicago is presented by State Farm. The beautiful weather continues in Chicagoland. Game number 1 of a 3-game series between the Blue Jays and the White Sox. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. You may have heard the last day of July is the Major League non-waiver trade deadline, and a lot of big names have changed positions.
Today is such an exciting day because you look around baseball, you see the teams that are trying to unload and other teams that are trying to rebuild. And there you see Sonny Gray. He goes to the Yankees from the Athletics. That was a big one, as was Hugh Darvish from the Rangers to the Dodgers. Then you have Liriano from the Blue Jays that we're playing tonight. He goes to Houston. Joe Smith, also from the Jays, goes to Cleveland. Then it's Addison Reed to Boston. Alex Avila to the Cubs. And you got another deal for a closer. That should be interesting with Kinsler moving places.
Well, Washington has tried to reload that bullpen a couple of times this year, and that's the last step of it, you would imagine. But yesterday, the Sox got a much-needed win thanks to Matt Davidson late.
There is no doubt that Matt Davidson has big power. Unfortunately, he got a fastball up in the zone, and he takes it out of the ballpark. The first career walk-off yesterday, he was a very happy man. And also, he's a very fast man because he's able to get away from Jose Abreu, who is trying his best with that bottle of Gatorade to be able to inundate him. But fortunately, he was able to do a post-game interview with us, which was good, and he was very happy about everything.
That was the most persistent Gatorade shower you were ever going to see.
I thought he was going to follow him to Skokie.
Pitching, but why was he going to Skokie in the first place?
For the Gatorade store.
Pitching matchup, Sox and Blue Jays.
There is no doubt that tonight is two guys really struggling recently. Marco Estrada, last 10 starts, 0-5, 8.87 ERA. James Shields, last 7 starts, 7.94 ERA. Marco Estrada has told some of the members on this team that he's going to be better here tonight. We're going to put that to the test. James Shields feels like he threw it better last time out, maybe needed a little bit better control. Hopefully tonight he's got that.
Hopefully everyone in Skokie and parts otherwise enjoy the game tonight. White Sox and Blue Jays. First pitch is just around the corner.
White Sox baseball on CSN Chicago is brought to you in part by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. By Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. And by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Miller Lite, hold true.
The Sox and the Blue Jays, game number 1 of a 3-game series after the Sox beat the Blue Jays in the series in Toronto 2-1. John Gibbons, who along with Cito Gaston have accounted for 19 of the seasons in 4 decades of Blue Jays baseball as the manager. Meantime, Ricky Renteria in his first season as the skipper for the White Sox. Toronto 49-56, the Sox 40-62 as we embark on game 1 of 3 between the Sox and Jays. James Shields, who made his first start off the disabled list back in June against Toronto, takes aim against the Blue Jays tonight. Here's the lineup for Toronto, batting .241 as a group. That's 27th out of 30 in Major League Baseball. Bautista is at the top, then Martin and Donaldson. Smoke bats 4th, and what a season he has had. Morales, Pierce, Goins, Pilar, and Barney, and a veteran starting 9 for Toronto.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up behind James Shields. Garcia, Engel, and Garcia in the outfield. Then it's Matt Davidson, Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada, and Jose Abreu in the infield, with Kevin Smith getting the nod behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience Amazing starting pitcher is James Shields. Having a struggling year. This is 11th start. He's 2-3. His ERA up at .586. There you look at the rest of the numbers. His left-handers have hurt him. One of the reasons is that normally that straight change would negate the left-handers. This year the straight change hasn't been that effective. Umpires for the game tonight. Chad Fairchild has the plate. David Rackley at first. Laz Diaz is at second, and the crew chief Larry Vanover is at third. So Toronto, after unloading a pretty good relief pitcher going to Cleveland, Joe Smith, who's going to help Cleveland. He's from there. He had some great luck when he was out of that bullpen. Gives their bullpen a lot of depth, as John Gibbons now playing a couple players short after what he had supposedly coming in. He lost a couple of players today.
Joe Smith, Francisco Liriano, our old friend for a very brief instant 5 years ago. Liriano, as the Blue Jays at 49-56 are 8 games back in the American League East starting plate today, with the Yankees leading the East by a half game over Boston. The next Sox opponent, in fact, is the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park Thursday through Sunday. And so we welcome in Toronto, and don't forget, if you click over to CSN Plus, we have our Spanish language broadcast tonight. Rodrigo Arana and Ozzie Guillen with the call for you.
They did their on camera in our booth today. Did a great job of it. And Ozzie should be terribly entertaining this evening.
Ozzie was subdued before the game.
Well, that's one phrase, yes.
A lot of energy.
He has a bit of that, I would say.
So tune in, CSN Plus. And join us for part of the night as well. First pitch, James Shields, is a strike called, and we are underway as Chad Fairchild says strike 1. First pitch, 7-11 tonight. Ball and a strike on Jose Bautista, who is not your typical leadoff hitter with his 18 doubles and 16 home runs. Batting average down at .218 as we start play today. There's a high pop-up. Not a lot of folks over there for the Sox. Abreu in foul ground gets a bear hug from Willie Garcia. Best friends forever, right? One down.
Well, normally you always say let the right fielder take it when the first baseman drifts into foul territory and has to run down the line. But Jose is so good at pop-ups, and Willie had a long way to run. He was playing into right center field, so he had a long way to get there. He calls for it, but Willie let the big man take it, and that's exactly what happened. Jose is magnificent on pop-ups.
We thought with Melky Cabrera traded yesterday, the hug quotient with the White Sox was going to decline, but Willie is making sure to hold that mantle for Melky.
Well, I think it was a question of holding on to him or running into him. He chose holding on.
It seemed as though the options were a face full of glove or a hug. And Willie with a smart choice as Russell Martin takes ball number 1. 34-year-old catcher Martin, 25 at bats against Shields. Former division mates with the Blue Jays and the Rays when Shields was over in Tampa Bay. It's an older lineup for Toronto. The youngest player in terms of age is Kevin Pilar. at 28 in the 8th spot tonight.
Well, a lot of people looked at Toronto thinking they made a gigantic mistake when they signed Justin Smoak in the middle of last season to a 2-year contract. Well, when you take a look at the numbers, it looks pretty good. And from the standpoint of the Blue Jays, they thought they had a good chance of losing Encarnacion, might lose Bautista. That didn't happen. They did lose Encarnacion, so they were just trying to give themselves a little insurance, and it turned into one of the league's best in Justin Smoak.
Little half swing there, 3-2 on Martin. His 42 walks, the most by a catcher in Major League Baseball. To right field, and Garcia alone this time for out number 2. Toronto coming off a big comeback win against the Angels. Steve Pearce, who's batting 6th tonight with a walk-off grand slam, his second walk-off grand slam of the season for Toronto.
Only the 3rd time it's happened in Major League history. One was a long time ago, back in 1926. The other was Jim Presley. So give you an idea how rare it is when you talk about anything and you're in a class of 3 in the history of this game. It's probably a good thing. Not necessarily, but most of the time it's a very good thing. This time it happens to be.
In a true oddity, Jim Presley at one point in his career coached Steve Pearce.
Well, he taught him how to get a couple of grand slam walk-offs in the same season. I mean, that's easy to figure out.
What a very specific lesson. Now today,
you never know when it comes up.
Coach, it seems like we're only going to use this maybe once or twice ever
in the history of the game.
You see the shift on for Donaldson.
James Shields very happy to be facing these Blue Jays. He's 12-6 lifetime against them with a 3.32 ERA. And this Blue Jay team, they thought they were building a very powerful offense, and it really hasn't worked out that way. And one of the reasons, you look at Donaldson with 239, 10 home runs, only 30 driven in, and there's a couple of explanations for that.
Donaldson high in the air, right center field. Engel is over on the warning track, and Engel cannot get there.
Well, he went into the wall full blast, and he's shaken up. That's the 11th home run, and Adam Engel, thinking he had a shot at it, he got smoked as he landed high on the wall. It looked like it got him in the ribs. He's doing a little limping, and Ricky Renteria is running out to take a look at him. As you look at our Ford home run replay, Josh Donaldson goes the opposite way. Again, number 11, number 31, and James Shields, who's had a difficult time keeping the ball in the ballpark, does not keep it in the park there. And that was a nasty collision for Adam Engel, giving it the best he could, coming up short, but getting whacked by maybe that stanchion which holds the wall together. Hermes explaining to him that you usually come in second when you hit the wall that hard.
Well, the way he went into the wall too, he kind of hit it side saddle as opposed to head on. And the way he jumped, it took him directly into that side of his body.
Well, he also, and I'm sure, and it's really hard to time this. In fact, it's pretty much impossible. When he went up with the glove, it hit the fence first, and so he couldn't get the kind of extension he was looking for. So because of that, I think he hit the fence maybe a split second quicker than he thought. And Hermie is taking the smelling salts and trying to clear Adam's head. That was a nasty collision.
Doesn't look like there's
any smelling
result.
Smelling in the salts.
Yeah.
Hey, he's not reacting to it. Normally, your head goes back when you do that. It's ammonia in there. It's an ammonia capsule, actually, and it'll get your attention. But Adam says he's okay. He's going to stay in the game, and he gave it everything he had. That was a huge effort, only to come up short in what has now become a 1-0 game.
That was a long way to go as Donaldson has his second career home run against Shields. Josh Donaldson now 4 for 13 against Shields, and here comes Smoke, who since May the 11th has the most home runs in Major League Baseball. 24 home runs since 5/11.
I'm going to take you a little bit roundabout for this. You know, and you read the same article I read where some teams, notably the Yankees and Houston, are going to more sliders these days, less fastballs. Justin Smoke might be one of the few guys, and the reason why his year is what it is he's changed somewhat. And one of the things he's done is starting to look for sliders and breaking balls instead of fastballs, which is what a couple of generations ago hitters would look at you like you were insane. But nowadays, with guys throwing more breaking balls, it's not a bad idea.
You could make the argument in that way that he would be ahead of the revolution that's coming, as you see Smoke with the 29 home runs. There's 4 behind Judge now for the American League lead.
And one of the ways you can do that, or you should do that, the normal home run hitter can't really do that a lot. But Smoke can because he's a switch hitter. And because that breaking ball is always breaking into him instead of away from him, he's got a little more time, and that's one of the reasons why he can make that adjustment and make it work.
Shields goes up high, 2-2 on Smoke.
But what a year he's putting together, and when you look at what appeared to be a gamble, it isn't much. They signed him for a couple of years at $4 million a year. By these standards, it's a paltry amount. They got themselves a terrific player. He was a #1 draft pick of the Texas Rangers, so everybody thought he could play. Even back in Goose Creek, South Carolina, they thought he could play. Now it's turned out he really can.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. Shields punches out Smoke, but Donaldson goes deep, and it's 1-0 Blue Jays as Engel's okay and Marco Estrada comes to the mound. Brought to you by the Webb Auto Group. For the best lineup of Chevys, Fords, Mitsubishis, Genesis, and Hyundais, the best price, go to webcars.com. Lauri back at the top. Abreu in the 3 spot with 3 home runs the last 11 games. Tim Anderson in the 7 position again today, all the way down to Engel batting 9th.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up behind the changeup artist Marco Estrada. It's Pierce, Pilar, and Bautista in the outfield with Donaldson, Goins, Barney with a Gold Glove, and Smoke in the infield. Russell Martin, a Gold Glove also behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is a man who struggled mightily. On for the 22nd start, Marco Estrada, 5.5 ERA, a 4-7 record. There you look at the rest of the numbers, and you have to hit and wait back against him because he's got a devastating changeup.
That was the pitch that made him so good the last 2 seasons. Back-to-back years of a .205 batting average against or lower for Marco Estrada, which really makes the numbers this year stand out. Pedro Martinez, Nolan Ryan, and Marco Estrada, the only AL pitchers with consecutive seasons allowing a .205 batting average or lower. That cue shot is dangerous. Donaldson across the way makes a nice play to cut down Leury Garcia for out number 1. As we look at what Marco Estrada throws, and as Steve was telling you about, the changeup is quite a bit of a factor. The four-seam fastball, 51%. He'll mix in the curve and the cutter.
Interesting part about Estrada, all of his pitches, all 4 of them, as you see there, he throws with the same kind of backspin that you throw a four-seam fastball. And when he was good, which was the last couple of years when he was excellent, you couldn't pick up the spin on the ball. Even his straight change has backspin, and that's most unusual. The reason being that most guys who use a straight change get a little movement. A right-hand pitcher will get movement away from the left-hander because it gets some side spin. Not with Estrada. His is backspin. It goes straight down normally.
There's a curveball, and Saladino lifts it to right center field. Pilar with the call and the ball, and 2 down. As we give you our picks to click for this evening, don't forget you can vote online at whitesox.com/pick-to-click. The Crew has expanded the lead to 3 and going with Moncada today. Steve's got Saladino, Smith to the fans, and I'm trying to hold you all off at home. I'll go Adam Engel. By the way, what are the rules? If Engel were to have come up injured in center field, do I get his replacement?
You absolutely would have lost immediately.
You just lose?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a really tough game.
Dave Ross just told me from the truck that I do get his replacement.
That, unfortunately, was the last couple years' rules.
Oh.
But this year, when we had the rules committee meet, and I don't believe you were there early in the season when that happened, we completely changed the rules.
Jose Abreu to right field for round number 3. I have my 2017 rule book, and it says I get the replacement. 1-0 Blue Jays. In Chicago is presented by State Farm, and we'd like to welcome all of our viewers watching on Butler Bremer Communications in Plainfield, Iowa. Does Dick from the Twins booth have anything to do with that communications company?
I would think so.
You do?
Dick Bremer? Absolutely. They named a bank after him in Minnesota, as well as a city and a state and some counties. He's very big there.
Is he the king of Minnesota?
Pretty close. You can tell by the statue right outside the ballpark.
Here's Morales. James Shields, their 20th time getting together. And that pitch teamed a little low, so 2 balls, no strikes on Morales. Pierce then Goins to follow.
When they were trying to re-sign Encarnacion, when he was taking bids from a couple of different teams, notably the Cleveland Indians, who...
Oh boy, that ball is hit very well to center field. Angle is there though. 1 down. So 1 out for Steve Pierce, who, as we mentioned, in passing earlier, has had a monster week. You talk about walk-offs. You want major body English as well. There's one of them that came against Oakland, and then this against the Angels, part of a 6-run comeback for the Jays and a grand slam. They refer to these in the Blue Jays game notes as ultimate slams. Down 3, final at bat. The 29th in Major League history, just there from Steve Pearce.
Pretty impressive, as you can see. It's Cy Williams back in 1926. I remember Cy. Jim Presley. I remember Jim. And Steve Pearce this year.
What was Cy's greatest attribute?
His size.
Oh. There's another Cy going around Chicago. One ball, one strike to Pearce. Ripped to third and foul wide of Davidson. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
One thing for Steve Pearce, wherever he's gone, whatever uniform he has worn, he remains one of the truly aggressive hitters in baseball. He loves to attack fastballs, especially middle in. He usually attacks them early in the count. But he finds himself behind now.
Off speed and low. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Pearce.
Started his career with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Came to the big leagues initially in 2007, so he's been around for a while, eventually wending his way to Baltimore and Houston and the Yankees. And now with Tampa, with Toronto.
He's been on enough teams that
Tampa Bay was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been around, and because he could swing the bat, he keeps finding a job, as you would expect.
And of all people, on July 31st, he's going to be the guy that understands exactly what's going on around Major League Baseball with all the trades that we showed you off the top of the show. Anderson has enough time, and a beautiful scoop by Abreu for out number 2.
Nice play by Jose Abreu, who's getting much better defensively at first base. He started out this year, was a little shaky for him. These days, he's worked very hard at it. He has a lot of pride. He works hard at every aspect of the game, and he's gotten a lot better at picking out low throws. And your other infielders really appreciate that kind of an effort.
You know, it was interesting when we had Paul Konerko in the booth, what was it, a couple weeks ago now, hearing him talk about the backhand side, using that to make plays on one-hop throws at first. His angle is underneath this ball from Goins, and we are Goins to break. 1-0, the Blue Jays with the lead.
And your commute home for the 5 at 5 and catch up on the 5 hottest topics of the day. Plus, share your comments with the host during the live stream. It's the 5 at 5 every weekday on Facebook Live.
Is that Ryan McGuffey in the little phone there? of Cornerstones fame, of White Sox Cornerstones fame, Ryan McGuffey.
Yes, very famous.
Davidson, Moncada, and Smith will bat here in the second inning. Sox are down a run thanks to the Josh Donaldson a home run. That's home run number 140 for the Blue Jays this year. They're 13th in baseball, and there was no bigger homer for Matt Davidson than yesterday's with his first career walk-off home run.
It's always exciting, and he said he was wonderfully excited about it and then was getting inundated with various liquids.
Matt was not short on electrolytes yesterday, let's say.
No, but he was very quick. He surprised me. You have to have that first step quickness for third base. Well, he showed it, running away from Abreu, who was trying to douse him.
Matt went up there, as he told us in the postgame, looking for a fastball. He got the fastball he wanted and off with the game.
Yeah, Shaw throws fastball that looks like a cutter, but when it stays right up where it stayed, it's very hittable. And when Matt hits it on the good part of the bat, he doesn't even have to. I mean, he's so strong that the sweet spot of the bat for him is considerably bigger than most folks, because if he gets a good piece of it, he rides it out.
Estrada certainly willing to throw that changeup on 3-1. He misses low, ball 4, and Davidson a leadoff walk in the second inning. The 2017 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate, home of low mortgage rates and the world's best digital mortgage. Get started now at rate.com. Biggest winner today at the trade deadline for you, and why? Maybe you could pick two.
Well, I think the Dodgers have to be considered as being one of the teams to come away with just about exactly what they needed. You know, look, the Dodgers are a wonderful team, no doubt about it. They've had a magnificent year. It continues, but they probably were a touch short when you head into the playoffs thinking about who's going to throw that second or perhaps third game. And now they got him. They got him in Hugh Darvish.
A guy that they'll have for the end of this year, and then it'll be in question as to where Darvish ends up next year.
There was a couple of really big prospects that the Dodgers said that there was no way in the world they were going to give them up, and they were able to make that deal and get what they wanted. And Buehler is one of those guys they didn't want to give up.
Carson Fulmer, his former teammate and still good friend.
Yeah, so there was a couple of guys that they were making certain that they weren't going to move regardless of what. So they still got what they needed.
Inside 2-2 on Yohan Moncada, who's at 4 for 36 so far, but folks are still talking about those defensive plays he made a few nights ago against Cleveland on back-to-back efforts at second. Out of the front foot and behind the plate, Russell Martin makes the catch for out number 1.
So we mentioned one of the guys that they didn't want to give away, and the other guy, besides Walker Buehler, was Alex Verdugo. Outfielder, 21 years old. They didn't want to get rid of either of those guys. They were able to make the deals, so they helped themselves. I think the Nationals helped themselves a bit. And I went and I talked with Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams today about this particular day, and notably the whole process. And I congratulate them on getting most of their work done early. And they felt if they'd waited till today to do most of their business, it wouldn't have gotten done.
Wouldn't have gotten done at all.
Right. More pressure. You're not going to get near the players. Now, you might have gotten it done, but you'd have to settle for players that weren't high on your list to acquire. As it turned out, when you take a look at the Sox prospects and what they acquired in all of their deals, they got restocked in their minor leagues with not only prospects, but premier prospects.
So you're saying you're not as likely to get Eloy Jimenez, for example, on July 31st than you are 2 weeks ago when that deal got done for Quintana?
Well, they didn't want to trade him anyway, but you have to believe that if you waited down toward the end, they probably would have made a deal before Jose Quintana, thinking that the price was too great at this point.
Pop up left side for Smith. Josh Donaldson comes in and makes the catch for out number 2.
So I think anytime, if you can get the players that are close to what you want, and nobody gets 100% of what they want, but if you can get the players that are close, you're much better off doing it early rather than late, because perhaps a team you matched up with really well, maybe they make that deal getting somebody else, and all of a sudden all those prospects that you coveted, they either went to somebody else or maybe half of them did, and they don't have them ready to give to you for what you wanted. And I think, and of course, we're a bit prejudiced because we know him very well, but I think Quintana was about the best out there.
Fly ball to left for Anderson. Horace Grant will join us when we come back. It's Bulls night at the ballpark. We'll catch up with the former Bull after this. Grant, three-time champion with the Bulls, once with the Lakers as well. Which ring do you have with you?
This is number 2 with the Bulls.
Nice.
So very special.
What are you up to? I know it's Bulls night here at the ballpark. What brings you here?
Well, I'm a special assistant to the COO for the Bulls, and Bulls night here. They asked me to come in, and it's having a great time.
First pitch was beautiful, actually.
Well, I've never been so nervous in my life.
Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, I was out of my zone, if you will, and just throwing that ball over. I'm just, please don't let it hit the ground and bounce.
What was the most special thing about the Bulls teams that you were involved with?
The most special thing, I would say, the camaraderie, the toughness, the mindset, the arrogance of the Bulls, and we were a family.
Here's that first pitch, and it did not bounce. That was a good-looking first pitch.
Very nervous.
So with the Bulls and your role as you're talking about being a special assistant, what sorts of things are you doing?
Well, I work with the team some. Majority of the things are out in the community, letting the fans and the people out there know that the Bulls appreciate them, appreciate their support from the standpoint of coming to the games and having fun.
You also went to the Bulls Sox camp. Young players just learning. Number one, from your standpoint, what is a key ingredient to taking a guy who likes to play the game and is good at it and thinks about maybe playing it professionally? What advice would you have for that young player?
Well, the key ingredient would be, do you have passion for it? If you have passion, it can take you a long way, even more than the love of the game, but the passion and then the work ethic. There's no substitute.
When you think back to those championship teams here in Chicago, what memory do you think of most?
The memory, the old Chicago Stadium. The atmosphere, it was electrical.
Wasn't that loud, was it?
A tiny bit. But the support that those fans had in that stadium, there's no place to match it.
I still remember taking a look because I had played golf with him and played baseball against him. I still remember Danny Ainge in Phoenix, you getting to pass in, and Danny Ainge, I believe, was trying to double team you. So as he's coming in, you of course turn around, look at the three-point line, and I looked at Danny Ainge's face. Now, to say he was startled would be understating the moment. What made you do that? Was that something that you guys had worked on? Was that something you were looking for or thinking about, or was it just, look, I get the ball, but there's two guys on me, I'm going out?
Well, I was having a terrible game. And when Scotty threw that ball to me, and I saw Danny Ainge running, and I'm thinking, he's running to foul me. And I looked back, and Pax was wide open.
Right at the three-point line,
right
and it was Danny's guy.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, boom. I would rather Pax shoot that three-pointer than me lay the ball up, potentially.
That ball hit well by Batista. Angle is back at the track, and he makes the catch. Horace Grant, just an absolute pleasure to catch up with you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for stopping by. Good to reminisce about the Bulls. 1-0 your score, the Jays with the lead.
Going to look forward to Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
And Stanley, the official tools of the Chicago White Sox. Stanley Performance in action. Who's your favorite Stanley?
Well, a man whose daughter just passed away today, Stan Laurel. Wasn't named Stanley, but Stan. That's one of the good Stans. Yeah, kind of liked him.
You were going to say something before I peppered you with questions about famous Stanleys.
I was, and that was, Horace said something really interesting, and a lot of people tend to take this the wrong way when he talked about the arrogance of the Bulls from that era. And everybody thinks, there's a negative connotation to arrogance, but as a team, you have to feel that you're better than just about everybody else you're going to play. If you don't, you have a hard time then beating them, which is, at the end of the day, your job. And it takes a while for a team to get that feeling of arrogance. Once they do, they're a very difficult team to beat. And you would expect the Bulls would have it.
Well, there's a fine line between arrogance and self-confidence, too.
But the arrogance of the ball club, as a group, I'm not talking about the individual arrogance. I'm talking about the arrogance of a ball club to go out there. I know I was fortunate to feel it one time with a ball club in Baltimore where we just knew that the other team would make a mistake before we would, and at the end of the game, we would be at least a run better than they were. And that's what we went into each and every game. And I think every winning team has that.
That belief, though, has to be built from winning games like that before. It just doesn't come out of nowhere. when you go 72-10 or something
well,
like
yeah,
that.
but to have that kind of a year, they had to have that before, and they did. I mean, they had that as a whole team.
Oh, yeah.
Well before the 72-10. But the real interesting part about it is trying to acquire it when you haven't won before. It's almost like a chicken and egg theory, but some teams are able to do it more easily.
On 2 strikes, Engel flips it to short right field, and Darwin Barney for out number 2.
Darwin Barney has a Gold Glove, and he shows you a reason why with the basket catch. Not an easy play, but by keeping it that close to his body, he's able to smother it with his glove because he didn't catch it cleanly. He got a good piece of his body before the glove, but he made sure he was going to come away with possession of the baseball.
I feel like we've been down this road a couple of times recently where the first few innings have not
Yielded a hit?
garnered much in the way of hits.
Twice in the Tribe series.
Danny Salazar first, then yesterday Josh Tomlin, who left before allowing a hit. He came up with a hamstring injury while warming up in the 5th inning. And it was this guy who broke it up, Leury Garcia, with a home run. That ball is whacked foul. Leury really has had a nice offensive season for the Sox.
I think he's done a great job, and in fact, Ricky Renteria was very happy to have him back. You get a switch hitter with the speed of Leury, his ability to play a lot of different places, including center field if need be. You don't find a lot of swingmen, and Leury is that. He's a swingman. You don't find a lot of guys that could play center field as well as he can, certainly. And see Rick, he's still ecstatic having Leury back.
1-2, high and tight. Marco Estrada, age 34. Those last 2 seasons, though, a major part of Toronto's resurgence to the playoffs. And there he goes off speed to strike out Garcia. So Estrada, a couple of strikeouts in the inning, still 1-0 after 3. Nostalgic for a nostalgic broadcast.
I am, and I like the cap from our 100-year anniversary of the 1917 World Championship. That's what the hat is, and also you have to have a pair of socks.
Those are good-looking socks.
These are the official socks worn in that game, by the way. These are not worn, but they're the official socks, and they are terribly good-looking.
They're long too. If you know somebody who's 7'2", those are the present for them. You can win the hat, the socks, a ball, some plasticware. You're probably going to take the other possible prizes today, honestly. That ball is hit very well left of center field, and it does get over the fence for Russell Martin as the Blue Jays have gone long twice tonight. Solo shots for a 2-0 lead.
Now Martin has joined Donaldson in the 11 home run club. He's driven in 23 in our Ford home run replay. It's a high fastball, and for James these days, high fastballs go a while. That was a line drive out of the ballpark, and Russell Martin, who's been having some trouble swinging the bat, doesn't find any trouble there. Line drive over the Total sign.
Russell Martin, who was ejected from a game a couple of days ago for arguing balls and strikes along with his pitcher Marcus Stroman. First pitch hunting Donaldson, who homered last time. Anderson makes the call. He is waved off by Engel, and one down. Here's your Sox Math question for tonight. Hashtag Sox Math on Twitter. First correct answer wins a prize off the prize shelf. Number of walk-off homers in Matt Davidson's career multiplied by the number of Sox hits yesterday that weren't homers. Add the number of consecutive seasons Tim Raines was an all-star in the 80s. Then subtract the number of consecutive games the Sox have against the AL East, including today. C-Square 12 was your winner yesterday. Let's see who the returning champion is tomorrow. Justin Smoak takes ball number 1. Bulls night. We saw Benny the Bull here. The Lovables are here.
Although Smoak has more power from the left side, he's been a much better hitter from the right side. This year hitting .402 as a right-hand hitter. But 23 of his 29 home runs coming from the left side, where he's batted a lot more because of the preponderance of right-handed starters in the major leagues these days.
Got a 3-0 count from Shields here. No walks so far for Shields, who was quite good in his first start against the Blue Jays this season. He went 4 scoreless, then gave up a run in the 5th, and then his final pitch was the one that doomed his game. But Shields pitched very well. It eventually ended in a Toronto victory thanks to that home run from Russell Martin. Sixth inning, Shields got Morales and Smoak, so 2 out, nobody on. Then Tulowitzki singled on the infield, and Martin deposited a home run just right of center field. Oh my goodness. Justin Smoak, number 30, is majestic.
With Justin Smoak now looking for off-speed pitches, he got one there. He waited back, and that's been the game plan. That's the reason he has 30 home runs and 71 driven in. He is looking for anything other than the fastball. James had thrown a fastball by him on the pitch before. And our Ford home run replay, that's a straight change, and that's gone. James has had some problems keeping the ball in the ballpark. And with 3 solo home runs, it continues tonight.
James Shields coming into today had the largest slugging percentage against on changeups in Major League Baseball among qualifying starters. And this is against a Blue Jays team that he threw more curveballs against than anybody else that he's faced in 2017. But we have not seen a whole lot of that curveball as Morales deposits a single to left. I'm talking about the Shields curveball and how much he threw it in that first start against Toronto. He's got both the regular curveball and the slow curveball, and it was a grand total of 25 curveballs in the start at Toronto. Then he followed that up with 25 more against Oakland and 23 against Seattle in July. But he got a lot of swings and misses against the curveball percentage-wise in that start against Toronto as compared to the rest of his year. Blue Jays have a homer to left, a homer to center, and a homer to right tonight. Did you see there was they posted Adrian Beltre's spray chart for his 3,000th hit, his 3,000 hits, and he is just all over the field. There is no one location, and I guess to get to 3,000 hits, you've got to use all fields, but he really peppered left, center, and right to get to 3,000.
He's just a magnificent player, and was from the time he donned that Dodger uniform, and put together just a wonderful career. And one of the great parts about it for Adrian Beltre is that he is a terrific guy.
Here's number 3,000 for Beltre.
That was Miley on the mound, and a two-base hit.
Had the sign ready for a little while and finally got to unveil it for Beltre, who is terribly deserving considering not only his talent but also his demeanor. Two balls and no strikes from Shields to Pierce with Morales at first. It's a rematch of the ALCS from back in 1993, the Sox and the Blue Jays.
You don't have to watch Morales all that closely, because if he runs, there's going to be a news story.
Inside ball 4. You're saying it's man bites dog, essentially, if Morales runs?
Yeah, these days, the stolen base is not in his arsenal.
Hey, Friday, August 11th, it's Rock and Roll Night, presented by Guaranteed Rate, as the Sox take on the Royals at 7:10. Join us as we rock out to live cover bands before and during the game. Plus, be sure to stay for the post-game fireworks show. To buy tickets, visit whitesox.com. Any truth to the rumor that you are going to be in charge of the rock and roll playlist in the ballpark that night?
I would certainly enjoy that, but I don't think that well, let's say we built this city on rock and roll 22 times would be good.
You do have a tendency to play the same songs.
I do like Jukebox Hero, however.
It is a good song.
Yeah, it is.
Steve's our in-booth DJ prior to the game.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's worse for me or you, but we do share musical tastes.
Right. Paradise City, one of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've introduced you to some newer stuff as well.
You have.
Like
Lawrence
Hard Rock,
Welk.
Coco and Joe.
Oh.
Yeah. That's scary, isn't it? One ball and no strikes on Ryan Goins, the 29-year-old shortstop for the Blue Jays. Morales at second, Pierce at first. And outside, 2 balls and no strikes, so 6 in a row out of the zone since the Morales single.
Goins is a defensive wizard, but you saw with runs in scoring position, he's been very good. And by the way, Gio Gonzalez has a no-hitter into the bottom of the 8th.
Oh.
Against Miami in Miami.
2 balls and a strike to Ryan Goins, my successor in AAA in Syracuse. His name's Kevin Brown. He is filling in on the radio for Dave Jagler for that game tonight. It's like his 3rd ever major league game he's ever done, and there's a no-hitter into the 8th inning. Some people have all the luck.
Well, he was always going to remember this, but now he might put it in the record books.
Two balls and 2 strikes on Goins. 2 on, 1 out. And that ball was going to have the zone, so Goins has to flare it foul. Mentioned earlier briefly that it's been nearly half the entire history of the Blue Jays that John Gibbons or Cito Gaston has been the manager, each for a couple of stints.
Yeah, this is a much more successful second time around for John Gibbons.
On a breaking ball, it's popped up. Second base and Yohan Moncada. 2 down for Kevin Pillar. First manager of the Blue Jays was Roy Hartsfield, who actually is a distant cousin of the Mayor Hartsfield, who the Atlanta airport is named after. Hartsfield Jackson International.
Can fly them to their new park now.
It's true. The ball to Kevin Pillar, who grounded out to shortstop in the third.
Pillar's been hitting the ball out of the park. He's hit 12 home runs. He's an excellent center fielder. But normally hitting where he hits in the lineup, it's not really a run producing spot.
He has made some of the best catches we've seen the last couple of years out in center field.
Oh, he's wonderful defensively.
Two balls and no strikes on Pillar. And a breaking ball for a strike.
With the outfield not overly deep, they're going to have a good shot on a base hit if they decide to try to score with Morales.
Sox did lose a good arm yesterday in Melky Cabrera going to the Royals.
Tied for the league lead with 9 assists.
Looks like Melky's going to play right there.
Yep.
Let Gordon play left and then Melky out in right field.
Well, I think, and justifiably so. Number one, you got 4 Gold Gloves with Alex Gordon, but also you have a guy struggling offensively. The last thing they want to do with a guy just now starting to swing it a bit better is move him out of his comfort spot. So that's why Melky, who can play a lot of different places, is going to play right. Also does have a right fielder's arm. And with Kane in center, you don't need that much coverage on the corners.
That's a good combination.
Kane can go get him, yeah.
3-1. That's outside ball 4. So it's up to Darwin Barney against Shields here in the 4th with 2 down. A lot of good signs that first start off the DL for James Shields with the 4 scoreless against the Blue Jays, and then the late home run. His final act was that home run against Russell Martin. As Barney, the Oregon native, takes ball number 1.
Not a great deal of speed on the base paths, although Pillar runs well at first.
Two and 0 for Barney. Smith trying to help James Shields however he can. Take a moment with Barney now out of the batter's box. Bautista's next. So for a number of reasons, you'd like to take care of it here. There's a strike on the corner, 2-1.
You're going to stay with the hard stuff. Darwin Barney's going to hit it to right or right center field.
It's where the Sox have him played, with Engel swung around to right center. Two balls, 2 strikes.
James shook to a fastball and got it, threw it in a pretty good spot. And he's back even in the count.
.30-pitch inning for James Shields so far in the fourth. Two balls, two strikes, and now Smith's going out to the mound again.
Well, James has a definitive idea of how he wants to retire Barney. And the communication wasn't what Kevin would have liked, so he went out there leaving nothing to chance. Pretty much says, what do you want to throw? We don't need a signal.
Abreu, by the way, decided to not go for that meeting.
Well, he was at one earlier.
Went with a breaking ball and fouled away. That first season with the Cubs, Darwin Barney 6 triples, career high 146 hits. As Shields misses high, 3-2. Ricky Renteria and Don Cooper, who have seen their bullpen scatter across the lower 48 over the last couple of weeks.
Been a lot of movement out of that pen.
Left side, Anderson charges up a throw that's on target, and the inning's over. 3 stranded for the Jays to score. We'll play bottom 4 after this in a 3-0 game.
The Charlotte Knights are back in action Sunday on CSN Plus as they face the Gwinnett Braves. Coverage begins at 4 or stream live at csnchicago.com/watch live and on the NBC Sports app.
Last night, Lucas Giolito, 7 innings, 3 runs in a 3-2 loss to Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Knights are off today. Knights managed by Mark Grudzelanek, and we were watching before the game a YouTube video of your former partner Harry Carey trying to say Grudzelanek both forward and backward.
Yeah, the first time he was trying to get that out, and well, didn't fare very well.
Saladino to left, and there is out number 1 in the glove of Steve Pearce. Here's your Sox Math winner for today, either forward or backward. It is Spencer Sutton, 77. Davidson, 1 walk-off. 2 hits that weren't homers. 1 times 2 is 2. 7 straight seasons with the Expos. Tim Raines at All-Star minus 7 straight games against the AL East. The answer was 2. Spencer Sutton, 77, was first. The Sox guy, who gets nothing, was second. We've taken to publicly shaming the second place winners.
Yes, that's, well, if he was a little sooner, he would be the huge winner.
He would also live in Norman.
Might have gotten some of your cotton candy tonight.
It's true. We do have a nice bag of cotton candy here.
Very good looking.
On Mark Grudzielanek, by the way.
Yes.
Harry, very adeptly in the video we were watching, got Grudzielanek backward. Kanalite Derg.
Yeah, but that was the different pronunciation of it.
It was the alternate?
Derg. It was the.
Oh, Derg.
Yeah, it's that was
Scandinavian.
When you play north of the border, that's how it's pronounced. It's Derv, not Derv.
Abreu fouls it away. It is, honestly, if you're sitting in front of a computer, like during the break or something, just pull it up, because your reaction is you say, I think it's Grudzielanek, and he says, I don't know, and you say, no, it is.
It is.
2 strikes on Abreu from Marco Estrada, who's yet to give up a hit, and that ball glances off of him. Abreu is safe, and we'll see what the scoring is.
This will be interesting, and the reason is that normally when a one-hopper is hit hard enough where the pitcher can't get it, they usually give you a base hit, but this would break up the no-hitter, and we've got to see what's on the mind of the irrepressible Bob Rosenberg. I think that Estrada felt he should have made the play. It's a one-hopper. It's right at him. He just misses it. And he's a little unhappy, as you would expect.
No official word as yet. It is E1, the official call now from Bob Rosenberg. Ball 1 to Davidson.
Well, they've got to change the scoreboard because the scoreboard has 1 hit, no errors. And now it is changed.
That is a laser, and that is why they have railings in front of dugouts.
Well, that was a big break because somebody down there trying to get out of the way of it fell over backwards.
Popped up, foul territory, smoke with a second out of the inning. So the Nationals have a no-hitter going with Gio Gonzalez that has just come to an end. D. Gordon with a single in the bottom of the 9th. Nobody out, bottom 9, leadoff batter in the 9th, and D. Gordon with a base hit to end the Gio Gonzalez no-hitter. That said, the former Washington National, Marco Estrada, still has his no-hitter on the board through 3 2/3.
He's staying right on top of the changeup tonight, and it's been a very good pitch for him. So we don't know all of his struggles and why his ERA for the past 6 games or so was up over 8. But whatever it was, he's figured it out. When your fastball tops out at around 90, 88, 89, 90 miles an hour, you better hit your spots, because if you don't, you've got a problem.
Moncada flashing the power as he hooks it foul. Yohan Moncada, 22-year-old, who, as we've mentioned, has named his son Robinson, little Robbie Moncada, and those plays we saw a couple of nights ago were very reminiscent of what Robinson can do defensively.
I had a friend of mine ask if I felt those 2 plays would be in the top 10 for the year for the Sox. Defensively, absolutely. They might have been in the top 10 for all of baseball. There were two just outstanding efforts, and they came back to back.
Ball at 2 strikes. Off speed for strike 3. Estrada has fanned 3. The no-hitter is still intact. We're through 4 at 3-0. Up. You can follow him, our White Sox insider Dan Hayes, all season long on CSNChicago.com, presented by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Escape your everyday shop, The Great Escape. Haven't seen Dan Hayes for a while in the booth. Hope he's all right.
Oh, I think he's. I mean, he's digging up some salient facts, and as soon as he gets them, he'll be back.
Digging up some salient facts?
Yes, something like that.
Saw him in the clubhouse earlier today. I think he's just avoiding the booth.
Could very well be.
We've gotten a lot of baseballs in the booth, and he doesn't want to be attacked by the flying projectiles. 1 down. Celebrate your next special occasion or host clients in the newest suite at Guaranteed Rate Field. Suite 134 hosts up to 25 people and is conveniently located along the main concourse. Experience the game from this unique new perspective. For more information, whitesox.com/group is where you want to go, or call 312-674-1000. Might see some special guests wandering through Suite 134 as well.
Occasionally. We saw Big Frank up there the other day.
Maybe Dan Hayes will stop by.
You never know.
It's a breaking ball for a strike. 0-2 on Russell Martin. Our booth was full of White Sox luminaries before the game. Ozzie Guillen was taping the Open on the Spanish language broadcast, which you can find right now on CSN Plus. Harold Baines stopped on by.
Yeah, Harold looks terrific. So he's back at the ballpark as another of the goodwill ambassadors.
1-2. Check swing, no go for Martin. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sox broke that 5-game losing streak yesterday with the game-winning home run from Matt Davidson in the 9th. Ball's crushed foul on a hook.
Anytime a breaking ball comes up and is just rolling up in your eyes, the biggest challenge a hitter has is not making contact. It's not getting out too quickly. Unfortunately, Martin was well out ahead of that one.
Nice pitch inside corner, strike 3. Shields with punch out number 3 tonight.
Let's take a look at StatCast, powered by AWS. And we'll take a look at Adam Engel as he goes to try to get this. Makes a great effort. He needed 130 feet. And the fence interrupted him about 2 feet short. And he got shaken up but stayed in the ball game.
The foul ball from Donaldson. That was a very long way to go, not only back but laterally as well for Engel, and I think that's where he might have gotten lost in terms of where the fence was, because he moved so far laterally toward right center field.
Well, I think what happened, now he wasn't going to catch that one anyway as it turned out, but what happened was when he extended the glove and it hit the bottom of the wall before coming up, it kind of slowed him down, slowed his timing down, and he couldn't protect himself when he hit the fence.
Adam Engel, center fielder out of University of Louisville, and the Cardinals, who have built such a great program down there with Dan McDonnell. Sox have mined their pitching staff last couple of years, including this year's draft. Zach Birdie last year.
Good slow breaking ball, and Donaldson could not wait back. He's had so many leg problems this year. That's really been the big factor, because he uses a high leg kick and just really explodes into the baseball. If you have some leg difficulties, then you're just not going to be as effective, and that's really been a problem for him this year.
Speaking of leg issues, Troy Tulowitzki on the DL a couple of days ago with a right ankle injury. Second time on the shelf this year for Tulowitzki after the early season hamstring trouble.
Troy, the last 3 or 4 years, has had some problems physically staying on the field. When he has, he's been very successful, but he's at the point of his career where he's going to start getting nicked up.
On the ground at third, a hard hit, but Davidson handles it and throws to Abreu for out number 3. It's a 1-2-3 inning for James Shields, his 3rd of the night. enjoy color television here in the booth. Layla, thank you very much for the update. 3-0 Blue Jays with the lead with Smith, Anderson, and Garcia coming up. By the way, Jaime Garcia had one of the shortest tenures of anybody in any job after being traded from Minnesota to the Yankees after, what, 6 days?
But he happened to throw a terrific game for Minnesota in his one start. And they were joking that if, in fact, he is moved, and of course he was, he could be one of the few undefeated starters that Minnesota's ever had, because he's 1-0 and moved on. So they figured, I mean, they were one of the quickest teams that went from a contender to a pretender that I've ever seen. No sooner do you acquire a guy that's going to put you over the top when you figure losing 5 of 6 you're not going to get there, and so you move him out immediately.
Not that it was all that surprising to Minnesota. You have to imagine that the Dodgers would end up sweeping them. I mean, the Dodgers are the best team in baseball right now, so it was a rough time to get swept, but it's not totally unexpected. 6 days on a team, though, that's Piazza level with the Marlins.
That's a quick turnaround, as they say. And the interesting part, after he pitched, he asked if he could go back to Atlanta to get his stuff together, and they said sure, and he went back to get his stuff together. While he was there getting his stuff together, they said, oh, by the way, don't come back here, don't meet us after our West Coast trip, you're going to New York.
The perils of the trade deadline. Marco Estrada, 4 1/3 no-hit. Tim Anderson coming up. By the way, the Nationals did end up beating the Marlins despite the no-hitter ending for Gio Gonzalez, former White Sox. 1-0 the final, as Sean Doolittle got the save for the Nationals, and it seems as though they're going to be terribly happy with that deal they made with Oakland.
I think it was a terrific trade, and they got 2 guys at the back end of their bullpen again before other teams could strike and maybe pick them off one at a time. We saw a lot more of that at the trade deadline this year than we've seen in previous times, and that is almost a one-stop shopping approach, because what happens is you don't think you can get the same return for guys individually, so you put them together and think you can get a little better deal. And we saw that with the Yankees with Rick Hahn. He decided to send all 3 together, thinking that the package coming back from the Yankees would have been much better than they could have accumulated individually.
How about Marco Estrada tonight? 15 balls, 39 strikes. He has been all over the zone so far.
Well, normally when he's right, and he certainly is right tonight and hasn't been lately, but when he's right, he's throwing at least 2/3 of the time strikes with everything. That makes him so difficult normally to hit, and that's the reason for the ERAs just over 2 years in a row.
Right side and through, base hit. Anderson with the first hit for the Sox tonight.
Even though Smoke was well wide of the bag, he couldn't come up with this one as Tim takes it to the opposite field. It's a fastball. He hits the exact spot that Martin wanted it, but Tim, with good coverage outside, takes it into right field, and so a speedy base runner aboard.
I saw Tim letting the ball travel there a little bit and go the opposite way. Here's Garcia with strike 1. Sox are 1 Avisaíl activation from having the 3 Garcia formation once again.
Not sure how many times we'll see that the rest of the way, but I'd just like to see Avi get back. That's a tough injury he's trying to come back from. Ligament problem in his thumb.
To left field for Willie, base hit. Anderson to second. 2 on, 1 out for Engel.
He got a fastball. It was on the outer third and drove it into left field.
Adam for his last 14, the last 6 games, trying to bust out in a big way as the tying run here in the 5th. Sox had a major effect yesterday on the American League Central race with that comeback against Cleveland. Kansas City was a winner to draw to back within 2 games of the Indians in the AL Central, and with Melky Cabrera going to Kansas City, it's one more opportunity to reload for the Royals, with so many guys likely, at least possibly, gone after this year, with Kane and Escobar and Moustakas
and Hosmer. I mean, you can't even come close to keeping them all. Question is, who will they keep?
To shortstop and Goins. 2 down here in the 5th. And read earlier, Eric Hosmer, upon Melky Cabrera's arrival, shared with the media that Melky was really the guy that taught him the ropes of Major League Baseball when he was first coming up, not only how to be a professional, but how to have fun with the game too. And I think that's what we'll miss maybe most about Melky Cabrera, is his joy for the game.
Well, historically, there are a lot of guys who leave via trade in their free agent year only to come back. You only have to look at New York with Aroldis Chapman. They got the bundle for him when they traded him and got him back again. Cost him a few bucks, but they had the prospects to go with the guy they already had.
Fastball called a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Right-hander out of Long Beach State, Marco Estrada.
Terrific program for many years.
The Dirtbags, as they're called, because their auxiliary field was just essentially a dust bowl. So you'd come back from practice with all the dirt on the jerseys, and they are very lovingly called Dirtbags. Sometimes you use that regarding me, and I don't appreciate it as much. You claim that it's about Long Beach State. I don't think you're telling the truth.
No, it's actually, you were named after a bar in Tucson.
Is that right?
Yeah, a buddy of mine started a bar in Tucson called Dirtbags, and he loved the place and thought so highly of it that I felt that that nickname for you would be appropriate. And it don't take any other connotation than named after a very successful bar.
I am flattered. 3-1 off speed for strike 2 on Garcia.
That's why Estrada normally, and let's take the last 10 starts out, but normally Estrada is so difficult to hit because of his ability to do just that. Fastball situation at 3-1. He has supreme confidence in his straight change, and you can't possibly be looking for it, especially with the motion that he has.
He'll throw it in every count, like that one. Strikeout number 5 for Marco Estrada. 2 stranded for the Sox in a 3-0 score. $5 in the upper level, $15 in the lower level, and parking for only $10, plus special kid-focused activities located throughout the ballpark. Family Sundays proudly presented by Coca-Cola. Visit whitesox.com/Sundays to purchase your tickets today. Little one buying tickets maybe for the upcoming homestand with the Astros and the Royals.
Or maybe checking for a new Muppet movie.
You like the Muppets?
Love them.
I think a new Muppet Museum opened, if I remember correctly what I had read. I think it's in New York.
Well, unfortunately, we don't go there again this year.
I might make a special trip. Very interesting guy, that Jim Henson.
Yeah.
That's all I got. 2-1. First base side and just foul.
Well, Jose's right on the line. It's almost inconceivable that it could get between him and the line fair. But this was close. David Rackley on the call. See how close he is. And that one didn't miss by much, but missed by enough.
2-2 to Smoke. And a swing and a miss for strike 3. Shields with strikeout number 4 so far tonight. And time for America's fastest growing sensation, where we quiz Steve Stone about his own career. It's Sticks and Stone. Which Blue Jays player hit a home run off of you in a 10-inning no decision in 1979? You went 10. The game went 11.
I'll say Bob Baylor.
Why's that?
Because he was a little right-hand hitter. And I should have gotten him out. Well, I actually don't remember ever going into the 10th inning.
You don't?
No, only like twice, something like that.
You did. You went 10 that day. Your team ended up winning. Tippy Martinez got the win.
And justifiably so.
Why? Because you started?
Well,
Makes it justifiable that your team would have won?
No, that Tippy got the win because he was quite a reliever.
This is trouble and down for Morales. He'll not go any farther, so a one-out single for Morales. And here's the answer to Sticks and Stone. Let's see. Nope.
Rick Cerrone.
Rick Cerrone.
Wow.
September 3rd, Orioles won 2-1 in 11 innings. Guess how long the game took?
8 hours and 10 minutes.
2 hours, 44 minutes.
Got the ball and threw it.
It sure did.
244 into 11 innings these days, probably you're not going to see too much.
My goodness. Pierce, first pitch hunting, and sad news we've not mentioned on the broadcast, but a couple of days ago, Lee May passed away.
He's a nice man, wonderful man. In fact, Lee May was a guy that taught Eddie Murray how to be a professional player.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was one of the leaders on that Oriole team, and he took Eddie under his wing. In fact, Eddie was a great first baseman, one of the better defenders around, and lost track with 504 home runs, the Hall of Fame and everything else, but he was really good at first. And he came up because of the respect Earl Weaver had for Lee May. Eddie was a designated hitter as a kid. One of the few times that a really good defender was a designated hitter because of the respect he had for Lee May, and he didn't want to take him off first.
2 down on that breaking ball to Pierce. Morales still at first, and Goins coming up. The grandfather of Sox center fielder Jacob May. Lee.
Good curveball. That one just exploded straight down. And Pierce, the second strikeout victim of the inning.
That was the type of curveball we saw Shields use against the Blue Jays in the first game. He had great success with it against Toronto in that first meeting, as that ball sliced to center by Ryan Goins.
One of the things that's a little hard to come to grips with if you're a veteran pitcher, especially one with the success that James Shields has had during the course of his career. He had the success largely because he had one of the great straight changes in the game of baseball, and he could throw at any count at any time, and he could throw 2 or 3 in a row if he wanted to, and he still couldn't figure it out. Well, now that straight change hasn't been near as effective because there's not that much of a disparity between the speed of that and his fastball. And so as that has become a more difficult pitch to get people out, James will have to make the adjustment. And that adjustment, for him at least, a couple of games was more frequent use of the curveball at different speeds.
Trying to get through 6 tonight, James Shields with the 3 earned runs allowed, all on solo homers. Martin in the 2 spot, Donaldson in the 3 spot, Smoke in the 4 position. That one was close enough and dived enough to get the swing.
Well, this inning especially, he's gone with a few more curveballs out of his 100 pitches.
Curveball left side and through past Anderson. No advancement further than third for Morales, and the bases are loaded for Toronto here in the 6th.
This one through the left side. Tim Anderson dives and can't come up with it. Pilar waited back long enough, and Tim moving across goes into left field, but the lead runner, Kendrys Morales, with no speed whatsoever, so it would have taken something in the gap or down the line to score him.
Second time in the game, Darwin Barney has come up with the bases loaded and 2 out. First time after a long at bat, he grounded out to shortstop. Morales at third, Goins at second, Pilar on at first. Right side, long run for Garcia on a slide, and Willie,
he got kicked in the face.
Ball, lost the ball, and we'll see how they call this. It is down and safely a hit, and Willie Garcia and Moncada are both injured.
It looked like either kicked or kneed in the face for Willie, and Yoan grabbing his knee.
Willie Garcia is down, Moncada as well.
It looks like with 2 guys down, the Toronto trainer has come out. It's nice to see because he realized that Herm Schneider would have his hands full. And now Brian Ball comes out. So both players down, and neither is getting up anytime soon.
Here's a look at what happened with Garcia and Moncada.
Looked like a knee right to the side of the head for Willie. As Yoan comes across, knees him right in the side of the head. So Willie is down, and Yoan, he's still feeling the effects of kneeing him in the side of the head. A terrible collision.
Honestly, and I know this is not the major issue here, but that you could make a strong argument that's a catch as well that Garcia ended up with. The ball stuck in his glove for a while. Moncada down, Garcia down.
You can't really make a case for that, and the reason is the rule states when you catch the ball, it has to be taken out of your glove with control, and it wasn't. Even though he held on to it, he was not able to take the ball out of his glove with control. I believe that's why it was called a double. And geez, this is just a terrible sight.
Awful situation. Garcia is up. I mean, that was just a direct hit, and Ricky Renteria.
They're going to take Yuan off, it looks like, in the cart.
They're going to help Moncada up.
Sad to see him leave without being able to put any weight on that leg. And we will, of course, update you with any update that we get. It looks like Dr. Bush Joseph is taking a walk out there to take a look at Yuan, and possibly Willie also, is Willie walking out under his own power.
And Yoan Moncada carted off after the knee to the head of Willie Garcia. And you see the reaction of Moncada. And whenever we have an update, we will get it to you.
You watch the knee right to the side of Willie's head.
And then Moncada's kind of in a compromised situation, flying through the air. He's got a plant as he comes back down. So the Sox are going to be down 2 players here. Garcia coming out, and Hansen and Sanchez are going to have to come in. Alan Hansen checks into the game. He's going to play right field, and then Yolmer Sanchez, it looks like, is going to go to second base, replacing Moncada. And the umpires are going to look at this play as the crowd just got its first look at exactly what happened. This is a challenge. And it is indeed a hit. As you said, Steve, there was no control of the ball as it was taken out of the glove, because it wasn't taken out of the glove. So here is Moncada, and watch at the end of the play as well. He comes down.
Yeah, he didn't hurt it on the way down. He did hurt it in the collision with the side of Willie's head.
So Ricky Renteria talking to the umpires.
Well, he's arguing the call, and then of course telling him where the new players fit in.
When we have an update on Garcia and Moncada, we will let you know.
That's what you always worry about when you have a situation with the outfielder coming in, the infielder going out. And so the score of the game pales by comparison to the health of Willie Garcia and Yoan Moncada.
So as you mentioned, as Moncada came off, he was holding that right leg, and that was the one that made the contact with Willie Garcia.
Because
he
you could
planted
tell
with the left.
Yeah, you can tell when he hit, he didn't hit all that awkwardly, because it was the contact, and that's what Charles Bush Joseph from Rush is going down there to take a look at him now.
Check swing, he did go. 1 ball and 1 strike. So we await word on the injuries, especially the one to Moncada, with Garcia coming off under his own power. That's a very good sign. Moncada on the cart. One and 2 on Jose Bautista.
And we'll certainly wait to see how this plays out. We have no other choice but to do that, but there's no way to protect yourself in a situation like that.
None.
Because Willie is sliding in. Yoan is going over the top, thinks he can avoid him, winds up hitting him with the knee.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Shields to Bautista. And a swing and a miss for strike 3. So the inning comes to an end. Shields strikes out the side. But the injuries are the headline here as the Blue Jays lead 6-0. With the lead over the Sox, and we were talking about the play in right field, and Yoan Moncada and Willie Garcia injured. The catch by Garcia ruled no catch. Here is the pertinent part of the rule about what a catch is. And I think you can make it's probably not a catch, but you can make a little bit of an argument because the wording is, in establishing the validity of the catch, the fielder shall hold the ball long enough to prove that he has complete control of the ball, which I think you can argue that he did, and that his release of the ball is voluntary and intentional.
Of which it was not.
Well, see, I think you could actually make the argument that he decided to release the ball because he had been kicked in the head and was worried about something else. I mean, look, he's got the ball enough to go to the ground with it. The ball is in his glove as he goes to the ground, and then he voluntarily lets go. So I think you could actually make the argument that that was a voluntary action rather than just his arm twisting around. In some cases, it certainly looks terribly involuntary. Again, there are bigger fish to fry with the injury to Yoan Moncada. However, I do think it's important to note the pertinent part of the rule there.
Well, when I saw that ruled the same way that this was ruled was in Montreal with David Martinez, the center fielder.
Saladino in the air to left. Pierce. And on that play, what happened?
Andre Dawson hit a line drive into the gap in left center field, and Dave Martinez went over, flying across to make the catch, and it was a good one. And his momentum took him to the turf. He rolled over a time or two, and he wound up separating his shoulder, and the glove was on the turf.
In the air to left again, and Pierce for out number 2.
His glove came out just like Willie's, came out, and the ball was on the turf just as Willie's glove was, and the ball came trickling out of the glove, and Tim Raines was playing left field. He went over, picked up the baseball, threw it back in. I said at the time that Andre should keep running. The reason is that it would be an inside the park home run. When it was ruled that he did not take it out of his glove with control and the ball came out, they gave him the inside the park home run. And that's, I believe, how it was ruled in New York and on the field here.
There's the off chance as well. I mean, in terms of the voluntary discussion, that Willie Garcia was knocked out briefly by the knee.
Might be a good chance of that.
And if that's the case, and there was nothing voluntary about the release of the baseball. And so as you take a look, Garcia gets hit hard. He goes down.
You really believe that he released that voluntarily?
The first look that we had, I did. I thought you could make the argument. With that look and the way it came slinging out, I think you're right. But the first look on the backside, I thought there was a chance that he opened up his glove. That's all.
Yep.
It's worth the discussion.
Yeah.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Davidson clubs it in the air left field. Pierce running toward the line, and Pierce is there as a ball stays in the park for the left fielder who caught all 3 in the inning. 6-0 Blue Jays.
Thrones Recap Day as the Nerds in Sports podcast crew is joined by insider Kim Renfro to discuss last night's episode. Subscribe today and hear from people in sports talk about almost everything. And we got a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and it is Brad Goldberg. So James Shields is done for tonight. And Brad on for the 5th time. His ERA, well, it's up there. Needs a few more scoreless innings to get that down to a manageable earned run average.
In his Major League debut season, Brad Goldberg will face the 2, 3, and 4 hitters in the 7th inning for the Blue Jays, Martin, Donaldson, and Smoke. And there's strike one to Martin, who homered in the 4th inning. Again, when we have an update on Yoan Moncada and Willie Garcia, we will let you know. Moncada taken off on the cart after the collision in short right field with Garcia, who went down to slide. Moncada tried to go over top of him, and Moncada's knee collided with Garcia's head. Good fastball from Goldberg up to 98, 1-2. Well, Brad's got an arm. We've seen it in action.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the stuff. The stuff is right there. The release point occasionally goes astray, but the stuff is good enough to pitch here successfully.
Davidson at third. Hey, teachers, spend summer break at the ballpark. Next Teacher Appreciation Night is Tuesday, August 8th. The Sox take on the Houston Astros. Get specially priced seats in select sections for all teachers, faculty, students, and their families. Visit whitesox.com/teacher to get your tickets today. One down for Donaldson.
Some young men certainly enjoying not the score, but concession stands.
Probably awaiting word of who their next teacher is going to be. That was always fun. Registration day in elementary school. You'd hear rumors about the teachers. Oh, I want this one. I want to have this one. I don't want to have that one. And then you just kind of get the slip as you walked up, got your name in the slip, and
that was it.
You either panicked or celebrated. Ripped to left field by Donaldson, and a one-out single for the Blue Jays third baseman, Josh Donaldson. Tomorrow, 7:10 first pitch between the Sox and the Blue Jays one more time. We'll be on WGN. Marcus Stroman, the ace for the Jays, against Mike Pelfrey for the Sox. Then Happ and Holland scheduled for Wednesday. Jay Happ, the subject of some trade rumors earlier today, but not dealt.
Now, you heard a whole lot of people around baseball speculating on who was going to go where. And many of them certainly came through, but a few are still with their teams. I mean, we heard Justin Verlander's name mentioned a few different places. And with about 10 minutes to go in the trade deadline, he sent a text to the boys at MLB saying he's still here in the Detroit locker room. And as it turned out, he is still there. But
although the son of the general manager is not.
No, and that's, you know, you might get some sort of a complex when your dad releases you once only to get you back, and then releases you, well, don't releases you, but trades you the second time. So I don't think Al is sending a message to his son, but a skeptical person might think that way.
Might read between the lines, possibly, and downgrade the gift for next Christmas.
No holiday dinners for you.
Ground ball back to the mound past Goldberg, and this is going to be two. Sox infield converges and gets the job done. 6-0 your score at stretch time. Yoan Moncada, X-rays negative. It's a bruise, and he's day-to-day.
And with Willie Garcia, they're going to evaluate him further tomorrow. But at this point, both of the players have contusions, which is probably, well, undoubtedly, the best news you could possibly get from what we saw happening in right field. So, again, they will further evaluate Willie Garcia tomorrow to check on the concussion protocol and everything that goes with it. And for Moncada, a contusion to his knee, which is the best of a terrible situation.
You see the #1 prospect in baseball come off the field on a cart, and then you hear bruise.
Yeah, you're
20 minutes later, you're pretty happy.
Pretty happy with that.
Contusion being doctor for bruise.
True. Yeah, that worked out really well.
This may be, it could be, I don't know. This may be one of the first times in Major League Baseball history that a player with a initial first name Y is taken out for another player first initial first name Y. Yoan for Yolmer.
Could very well be. Not being schooled in the whys and the wherefores.
Oh. You know, I don't know that people watching know you well enough to know when you get that glimmer in your eye when something shenanigan-like is coming. Ground ball to short, Goins, tough play, and Sanchez is safe on an infield single. Third hit tonight for the Sox. Get on-demand access to the games you can attend with the White Sox Flex Pass. Purchase 10 lower-level tickets for $200 or 10 upper-level tickets for $70 and have the flexibility to redeem tickets to an upcoming game right from your phone. For more information or to purchase your pass today, visit whitesox.com/FlexPass.
That's 3 singles against Marco Estrada, who's had a very good night. Only 1 walk, that coming leading off the second, that to Matt Davidson.
Ball #1 to Kevin Smith. And currently for the Sox, the only available position player is the backup catcher Omar Narvaez, with Hansen having to come in for Garcia and Sanchez for Moncada.
It is a game of numbers and how you want to construct your team. If you're going to go with 8 relievers, meaning a 13-man pitching staff, you're going to go with 3 moves off the bench, which is not as difficult in the American League as it is in the National League. In the National League, it's very difficult because it ties the manager's hands when you flip-flop batting orders.
Smith into left field and a base hit. Sanchez to second. First 2 are out for the Sox here in the 7th inning. Yeah, trying to navigate a National League game with 3 guys on the bench is impossible.
Really difficult. The bullpen is starting to stir for Toronto, and for the first time tonight, we'll probably see some action as we're 18 outs deep, and that is becoming the new mantra of managers to starting pitchers. Get me 18 outs. I can cover the 9 left out of my bullpen, but anything short of 18 stretches your bullpen, and you do it consistently, you're going to have a very tired pen if you get to meaningful games.
Especially in the Blue Jays case when you've given away a couple of arms as of today. Liriano gone and Smith gone to Houston and Cleveland respectively. You think Marco Estrada loves that changeup?
It's his best pitch, and you might as well go with it. Plus, he can throw it a couple different speeds. But the big part of his changeup, we talked about it right at the top, is that he has the same spin as he does on the fastball. So it's like a 4-seam fastball and then a 4-seam change. If a hitter can't pick up that spin, normally they've got problems. And he throws just enough fastballs in on the hands of hitters to make that changeup look that much better. There you look at some pretty impressive numbers to this point, although he's in a jam here in the 7th.
Ball and 2 strikes on Tim. Another foul.
There is a Toronto pen. Joe Biagini loosening up.
It's what you say when you rub a lamp that you found that you think might be treasure.
Oh no.
Biagini.
Yeah.
And you get 3 wishes and the whole thing.
Yeah. And then Barbara Eden shows up and it becomes a mess.
You saying Larry Hagman?
Yeah, something
is in
like
charge
that.
of the whole
Yeah,
thing? And,
yeah, you know, and then you got all kinds of problems with wishes and all that. You don't want to get involved in that.
Weekly antics, though. Ball and 2 strikes on Anderson. Sanchez at second, Smith at first. Tim hits it in the air, center field. Pilar dancing back, and with his heels on the warning track, makes the catch. Sanchez to third.
Tim gave that one a long ride, but it stayed in the park. And normally when it does, Kevin Pilar is going to be there to make the catch.
So with first and third and 1 out, we're going to have a little visit at the mound.
Pete Walker going to the mound to have his conversation and to allow Biagini to get a few more pitches. So he wants to spend as much time as he can out there.
Be the first look at Alan Hansen for Estrada. And that allows the public address to play the 90s classic. Can't see the air quotes, but classic Mbop by Hansen.
That was right up there. I mean, I don't know exactly. It was like Beatles, Hansen, Rolling Stones, or Rolling Stones, Hansen, Beatles. You know, it's hard for me to pick.
You can tweet at Steve Stone. That is at Steve Stone. Hansen swing and a miss for strike 1. Smith at first, Sanchez at third. Alan Hansen in for the injured Willie Garcia. Yohan Moncada, if you saw the collision, it went knee to head. Moncada's knee to Garcia's head. Moncada out with a contusion, a knee bruise, day to day. And same for Willie Garcia. He is as well day to day to be reevaluated in the morning. You quite often get reevaluated in the morning too.
Just about every morning.
Yeah.
And it's not good. But I keep on, you know, we live in hope. You keep on hoping the next day things pick up. In the meantime, this is a straight change and hope Allen can stay back on it.
0-2. That was close.
Pretty good pitch again. Good motion, straight over the top. Nothing for a hitter to pick up on the straight change. Normally, if a pitcher drops his arm angle at all or loses the arm velocity, you can wait back. You can keep your hands back and wait for the straight change. But Estrada doesn't do that.
High fastball, well out of the zone. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Estrada, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts tonight. He went no hit through 4 1/3 before the Sox had tandem singles from Anderson and Garcia. Then back-to-back singles to lead off this 7th inning from Sanchez and Smith. Foul and out of play.
Last time Marco Estrada won was May 27th. But he felt he would have a good ball game tonight. For whatever reason, I'm not sure if it was an adjustment he made or just the fact that he felt pretty good about it, but he's turned out to be prophetic. It is an outstanding performance.
2-2. Down and out. 3 balls, 2 strikes. To right field, Bautista. Sanchez tagged, and the Sox will get on the board for the first time tonight. A sacrifice fly for Alan Hansen at 6-1.
He got the changeup over the plate, and this time Allen was able to wait back on it long enough to drive home the run. Second sacrifice fly of the year for Alan Hansen as he goes down and gets it. Plenty deep enough.
So the two guys who came in as injury replacements are the ones involved in the first run scored tonight for the Sox. Engel hit a ball very hard in the 5th inning and lined out to Goins. And that foul ball was down into our right. We have gone a streak of 9 straight games without a ball in the booth, which is a season high since we started counting.
It's up to 9.
Can we get it to 10? Ball and a strike. High fastball, 1-2.
100 pitches. This is liable to be the last inning for Estrada.
29 balls, 71 strikes tonight.
And normally that's the kind of control he has, but hasn't been the case recently.
There was a changeup, and Engel pops it up. Darwin Barney on the outfield grass for out number 3, and that'll do it for the 7th inning. Sox get a run on the Hansen sac fly. It's 6-1 after 7.
Sale fan cam, bring the fun home.
Let's go mustache. That's a really good look.
It was very bright at game time. You had a different color cotton candy. You had the blue.
Yeah.
You had the pink.
Would you like a piece?
Well, the problem is then your entire being looks like a Smurf.
You know, they say at the beach, if you put the shell up to your ear after you walk away from the beach, you can still hear the seashore. I think if you take your glove home from the game, you put it up to your ear, you still hear the sounds of the field.
Yes.
Is what that person was thinking.
I hope so.
It's not how your gloves worked in Ohio at Brush?
No. Well, no. Don't forget, Charles F. Brush invented the arc light.
The arcs.
Which is why we wear the Brush arcs. One of the great names which inspired you to have wonderful athletic teams.
Let's go Arcs.
That was it. Yep. And I hold my glove up to my ear and I still hear "Let's Go Arcs."
Is that right?
It's amazing. Yeah,
That's wild that they could do that for you.
It is. It's great.
I want to get that checked. In fact, don't think it's the glove. 1-1 to Morales. And 2 balls and 1 strike.
David Holmberg throwing in a pen.
Two balls, 2 strikes. The shift is on, as we've seen for Morales. There is Holmberg getting loose in front of the Vienna beef sign. We're 2 days away from Dollar Hot Dog Day.
Oh, I know. That's exciting. Except it'll be a Wednesday afternoon game.
Yeah.
If you want to stuff yourself full of hot dogs in the afternoon, this is your place.
Don't spoil your dinner, but do it early.
That was off the leg of Kendrys Morales.
How many Dollar Hot Dogs do you think you're going to eat on Wednesday?
Well, don't forget, it is getaway day.
Get away from you day if you eat too many.
Going to Boston that night, I think I will limit the dogs that day.
2-2 on Morales.
He was able to spoil a high fastball at 97. You don't find many left-handers can go upstairs and keep the at-bat alive, but he was able to do it.
Two and two once again. He got him swinging at 98. 7th strikeout for Sox pitching tonight.
You can apply for an all-digital, no-fee loan now at eclicklending.com. eClick is located in Chicagoland. It's rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. eClick Lending. Boom! Your mortgage just happened. Well-coordinated boom tonight. Very nice.
Synchronized boom between you and Doug Bullard.
Yep.
Our audio genius. He said that if I called him the audio genius, he'd give me one of those microphones from the other night. It's a deal, Doug.
You could. Those are wonderful microphones.
Our 1917 telecast from a couple of days ago between the Sox and the Indians.
Still really good-looking uniforms.
Yeah, they are, and we have a couple pairs of those socks that you'll be seeing on the prize show. Those are very nice. The White Sox socks.
That time Brad thought it was a strike, and I can pretty much understand why as you look at our Menards pitch cast. You see where the 2 shows up. Had the whole plate.
Three balls and no strikes on Pierce. Ball 4, so it's a 1-out walk on 4 straight called out of the zone. 1 on, 1 out for Ryan Goins. MLB.com at bat is your #1 mobile app for live White Sox baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get White Sox home screen icons and app features, as well as game day live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today. On the ground, Sanchez for Anderson. The turn is there, and it's a double play. The walk does not do any harm. We go bottom 8. Goldberg gets the job done. now, actually, on CSN Plus, doing the Spanish language telecast or simulcast. Or if you want to hear us do Spanish, you can hit the SAP button on your remote.
Yeah, unfortunately for us, that wouldn't be great, as Joe Biagini comes in the game on for the 36th time. He's 3-8. His ERA at 4.83. There you look at the rest of the numbers, and left-handers, as so often happens with right-handed pitchers, have hit him a little bit better than the right-handers.
So Biagini will face Garcia, Saladino, and Abreu here in the 8th inning. Larry Garcia 0 for 3, couple of strikeouts. There's strike number 1. We saw that young man in the crowd wearing a Cal shirt. Joe Biagini is from one of the offshoots of Cal Berkeley, UC Davis. Former 26th round pick of the Giants, Joe Biagini. He was one of those Rule 5 draft picks back in 2015. Rule 5 draft with something the Padres have availed themselves of very much this year. That was a Rule 5 loaded team when we saw them back in May.
Yep, they had I think they had 3 starters that were Rule 5 players. Biagini last year was terrific out of the bullpen. 60 appearances, an ERA just over 3, 3.06. He did have a save, but a very useful arm out of the pen for John Gibbons.
Ball 4, not the start he wanted. Leadoff walk, up 5. If, say, you were at a late dinner and somebody texted you and said, "Did you see what happened to Moncada?" and you're just getting that text, but you don't know exactly the result, there's good news on the injury to Yohan Moncada. He is out with a bruised knee. He is day-to-day after x-rays were negative. So Moncada, after a collision with Willie Garcia, got better news than you may have thought as he was taken off the field on a cart.
Yeah, that's the best result of a terrible situation. If you watch the collision, you know how bad it was.
Larry Garcia takes second base without a throw.
Got a great jump as Biagini didn't look at it. And we'll look at the collision again in the 6th inning. Darwin Barney lifts one to right field. And the knee to the head, Moncada went down. Garcia went down. Now Willie was able to walk off under his own power, but as they wheeled out Yohan Moncada, everybody in this ballpark and everybody in the front office holding their breath to see what would happen with the x-rays, and the best result that could have happened to Bruce.
Check swing on a ball in the dirt. And as you rebuild, the thing you want to see is just for everybody to stay healthy and be able to put it all together when you have eyed that window, quote unquote, to put it all together.
And of course, Yohan, one of the keys to the Chris Sale trade. Red Sox ecstatic with that deal, and the Sox will be happier and happier as time moves along.
Another breaking ball from Biagini. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Toronto does have one of the better closers around, and he's a very young closer, Roberto Osuna.
2-2. Another foul ball. You mentioned Moncada being a cornerstone in that Chris Sale deal. Michael Kopech as well, the starting pitcher, who is scheduled to start tonight for Birmingham, trailing now 4-0 into the 8th inning of that game in the Southern League. That cue shot rolls foul. Kopech 7 innings tonight, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. His ERA at 3.33.
Young man's got everything you need to be a very successful major leaguer. And now that he's getting the secondary pitches over the plate, and every time he goes to the mound, I take for granted there's going to be a lot in the strikeout column. I'm looking at the walk column. I want to see what kind of command he's got, especially at the secondary pitches, and it's been pretty good.
That's low. 3-2 on Saladino. He also has some interesting and stark tasted shoes. Kopech, Futures game with those bright orange shoes that he wore when he struck out Yoan Moncada. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Saladino. Garcia at second. Saladino to right. Right at Bautista. No tag from Garcia and 1 down. So Abreu comes up at 0 for 3 so far tonight. Aaron Judge hit his 34th homer this evening. Abreu to left field, and this ball is off the wall. Garcia comes home. Abreu into second base. It's an RBI double. It's 6-2.
RBI number 67 on the 29th double of the year. That looked like a straight change that he got in the middle of the plate and hit the daylights out. So Pete Walker once again, which allows the bullpen, which had not been working, to start to get loose.
A bullpen that's lost a very important piece today. A couple of pitchers going away from Toronto, Liriano and Smith.
Liriano was a starter for them, but they're thinking about maybe the bullpen for Houston. And there's a look at Biagini against our Sox on June 16th. He had a tough inning, to say the least. That was one of his 11 starts. And not a real good one. So Pete Walker's had his say, and now Biagini stays in to face Matt Davidson. He had the walk-off yesterday.
Breaking ball low with that double from Abreu, depending on what else happened around baseball today in terms of doubles. As you said, 29. That would have tied him for 8th in Major League Baseball if Adam Duvall, Francisco Lindor, and Jed Lowry didn't double. You can go doing the hunting. Go do the hunting on that yourself if you care to at home. Ryan Tepera getting loose in the Blue Jay bullpen.
Well, he's the man who has taken over the role as the lockdown setup man, because he's been throwing it as well as anybody in that pen. He and Osuna, in fact, have been terrific.
Davidson to right field. Bautista looks up, and this ball is over the wall and gone. Back-to-back days, Davidson with late home runs, and it's 6-4.
Well, we've been talking about the strength of Matt Davidson for a few days now, and he showed it to you there because he caught that off the end of the bat, and it just kept on going. Bautista looks up. It's gone. Our Ford home run replay. Almost an inside-out swing with a very quick finish at the end of it. But he is so strong that if he gets any part of the bat on the ball, it goes a long way. That's going to be it for Biagini. He will depart as Tepera comes in, and as they do, we'll step out and be back after these messages.
Who attend the Chicago White Sox game get a game card courtesy of Jewel Osco with a coupon for $10 off a purchase of $100 or more. Jewel Osco, your moment is our moment. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Our Hyundai call to the pen, and it's now a 2-run game, is Ryan Tepera. For the 47th time. He's gotten better as the year has moved along. He's 5-1. His ERA 3.44 with 56 strikeouts and 52 1/3. Opponent's batting average is just 186. So things getting very good for him. And he's got a 2-run lead.
Predominantly fastball cutter for Tepera, and there's a fastball to greet Yolmer Sanchez. And with the home run for Matt Davidson, another generous donation from the Alex Snellius family in loving memory of Ursula. Oh, 0-1 to Sanchez from Tepera. And there is no mystery as to what Ryan Tepera is going to throw you.
Now, pretty much here it is. Let's see what you can do with it. Last year, he came up after spending most of his year at AAA. 2.95 ERA and 20 appearances, all out of the pen.
2 strikes. It's fouled away. When he came up in 2015, he was about 15% slider. He doesn't throw many of those anymore at all. It's basically morphed into a cutter that averages roughly 88 miles an hour, as we just saw there.
I think it's probably a lot easier to control as he's going to throw a high fastball here.
Got the swing. It was fouled away.
Yolmer able to stay alive, but a lot easier to control the cutter than it is the slider because of the depth of the slider.
Sanchez in the air to right field. The Sox have gone back-to-back. It's a 1-run game. A Yolmer homer, and it's 6-5.
Yolmer came in the game to replace Yoan Moncada, and he's picked up a single, a run scored, now a home run, and a run batted in, and our home run replay by Ford. A towering fly ball that just didn't come down. And just like that, it's a one-run game.
Kevin Smith watches strike one. Kevin 1 for 3 tonight with a single to left and a big old hug from Papa Abreu. Duck Yolmer. Melky's gone, but people are still throwing stuff. His legacy's intact.
Well, Melky left an indelible impression on all of his teammates who absolutely loved him. He was a good player and a great teammate.
Broken bat grounder back to Tepera, and Smith is out, 2 away in the 8th. This is the 7th time the Sox have gone back-to-back this season. It's Davidson and Sanchez this time around after the RBI double from Abreu, and Chris Beck starts to get loose.
Well, against Marco Estrada last time up, Tim Anderson took it all the way back to the wall in center field.
There's that cutter from Tepera. Big chopper back to the mound, and Tepera claims it to retire the side. But this has gotten a little dicier for the folks from Ontario. Matt Davidson, Oppo, 2-run shot. Sanchez, pull side, Thunder, 6-5 after 8.
Series against the Blue Jays with coverage beginning at 12:30 with White Sox pregame live on CSN, or stream the game live on the NBC Sports app or at csnchicago.com. We've got a new pitcher in the ball game. It is Chris Beck after 2 scoreless from Brad Goldberg. Good outing for him. And Chris comes into this. Now it's a 1-run game. On for the 39th time. He's 1-1. His ERA 4.89.
He'll face Kevin Pillar first, then Darwin Barney and Jose Bautista. Blue Jays' big run-scoring play was that 3-run double from Barney in the 6th off the collision, as Smith and Beck want to talk after 1 pitch.
Well, must have been a terrible pitch.
Tim Anderson got to the mound, and it was a second later that everyone else left. And now Don Cooper is on the horn.
Boy, it was a bad pitch. Everybody comes to the mound. Don's on the phone. Everybody's scrambling here and there. Boy, he's thrown one pitch.
It's the equivalent of being in a doctor's office and white lab coats scramble to your side. 9 people, code red.
Yeah, that wouldn't be great. Especially if everybody comes in crying.
Sounds like it's my experience. You have that effect on people in lab coats?
Well, no, not usually.
2 balls and a strike on Pilar. He singled and scored on that double from Barney. That came out of the glove of Willie Garcia, who was kneed in the head by Yohan Moncada.
Holmberg, who was up, and Infante, who is now up, throwing in the path.
On the ground is shortstop on a high pitch, and Anderson throws out Pilar. Beck will take that, certainly. 1 away. Sox, by the way, in the bottom of the 9th will have Hansen, Engel, and Garcia coming up. A good speed in play.
And don't forget a full bench of
Omar.
1 player. Full bench full of Omar. That's it. With the injuries tonight and Yolmer and Allen coming in the game.
Chris locked him up with a fastball at 96. Game 2 of the series tomorrow, 7:10 first pitch on WGN. Chuck and Bill are here. They're ready for the postgame. Subaru postgame live directly from our booth. Bill's just chomping down on that cotton candy I sent up to the top level of the booth.
Not a good look. Blue lips.
Blue Bill.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Two strikes on Darwin Barney. Toronto with 3 solo homers tonight. Donaldson in the first, Martin and Smoke in the 4th. On 1-2, Beck gets a chopper. He handles it himself and does all of it himself. 2 down.
Figured with all his momentum going toward the bag, there's no real reason to flip it. You're going quickly, catch the baseball and take it yourself. Best way to make sure there's no bad throws is don't make one. And a very happy Chris Beck.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's the very opposite
right.
of that adage. 2 down for Bautista, who's 0 for 4 from the top of the card tonight for Toronto. Sox with a 4-run 8th inning to make this angsty for John Gibbons and his Blue Jays. In the air right side, Abreu at the line, pops it in the air, and Hansen makes the catch. White Sox jugglers. They do office parties, bar mitzvahs,
and a 3-9 putout, which you're not going to see anytime soon.
Unreal.
Miller Time brought to you by Miller Lite, and here's our Miller moment, and it is the rare, very rare 3-9 putout. If you're going to juggle it, flip it in the air, and maybe somebody will come and run under it. He looked like a great volleyball player there, but no spike, just a catch. Our Miller moment. And we've got Ezekiel Carrera coming in defensively in left field, taking the spot of Pierce. And their closer, Roberto Osuna, coming in the ball game out for the 46th time, looking for his 27th save, and this is 32nd chance.
So Hansen will go first against Osuna, who's had a nice season, but off the field has dealt with significant anxiety issues, saying that he was unavailable for a time this year because he just kind of felt lost.
I know, and it's a terrible problem. We've not paid a great deal of attention to it in this game, but a few players, Zach Greinke, one of them, who's overcome it, but a few players have had that problem, and we're just now seeing guys come forward and saying they have it, but it renders you unable to do your job. It's close to debilitating at its very worst.
To first base and smoke. Ball was scorched and one down. I mean, Osuna said, look, when I'm on the field, I'm fine. But when I'm off the field, I don't feel right. I don't feel like myself. And this comes maybe about 2 months after David Freese was very open about his time with the Cardinals and being at home and fighting with depression significantly, even at the most heroic time in his career. But it is, to your point, it is great to see guys being willing to talk about it, because there's a needless stigma about that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And although a different scenario, because depression and anxiety, two different things, many times they go hand in hand.
Right.
And especially when it's not situational, it's chronic. That's a whole different situation.
2 strikes on Engel. The one thing we do know is Osuna has great stuff.
No doubt about that, and lately thrown it very well. And the only time he got really hurt at all recently was probably a little bit more use than he should have had in his arm. The velocity dropped a couple of miles an hour.
Close pitch. Blue Jays started 1-9. There wasn't a lot to close early for Osuna. Sox trying to come back in this series opener. Ball and 2 strikes. Chopper, third base side. Donaldson has to hurry, and he is late. Engel safe with a 1-out single.
Justin Smoke wanted him to take a look at it, and it appeared from here that he beat it. In real time, it looked like he beat it. That's because he beat it. Nice pickup by Smoke. John Gibbons with nothing really to lose with this challenge. And David Rackley on the call.
Ball has to be in the pocket of the glove,
Yeah, the
and it is not.
foot's on the bag. I mean, I understand why they're challenging it, a situation where you don't have anything to lose, but that's clearly a base hit, the tying run on base.
Here's the call, and it is as we expected. Engel with good speed is on first. Garcia will bat with a runner on. What do you think about another walk-off home run?
Well, you got a guy who is certainly capable of doing it. Looking for his first hit tonight.
Nine career home runs, 7 have been this year for Larry Garcia. Strike 1.
You can pretty much call it what you want, either a cutter or a slider, depending on the depth. But at 91 miles an hour, it translates into something really difficult to hit when he puts it in on the hands of the left-handers.
Engel runs, pitches inside.
He got hit. He got hit.
They're going to say he did get hit. The ball is dead. Engel cannot advance any farther. Garcia to first base.
John Gibbons went out to question Chad Fairchild, but he said it got him on, well, got him somewhere.
If it got him, it grazed him.
There's no doubt. Now, they use their challenge.
But this being the final couple of innings of the game, you can ask for the crew chief discretion to go to the New York replay system. And John Gibbons is out.
Yeah, that's what he's asking for now. Chad Fairchild.
It's going to be very tough to definitively say that there's enough proof to overturn this call.
You would think so. And now he's going to talk with the crew chief, Larry Vanover, about accepting the idea of looking at it again.
And they're going to go to the replay review system to take a look. You need indisputable video evidence to overturn the call. This may be the toughest call of all the reviewable plays to overturn. Hit by pitch.
Take a look at the lead elbow. And from that angle, it doesn't look like he got it.
Question is, what would they do with Adam Engel at second base? On the continuation of the play, he had that bag stolen.
That would be interesting to see what they are going to do. Without allowing the catcher to make a play, with throwing up your hands right away, could very well be that they'll move him back to first base.
That would be the expected result, is if the ball is called dead. It's like in football, if something's blown dead, you got to leave it where it was. He did get hit. The Sox will take it. 2 on with 1 out. Official word is that the call stands, meaning that there was not indisputable video evidence to overturn the call.
Yeah, that's what it has to be. And the end result, the tying and winning runs on base for Tyler Saladino,
who has 4 fly ball outs tonight. Center once, left twice, right once. Strike 1. Jose Abreu is next.
It's kind of unusual. The outfield is not near as deep all the way around as we've seen in seemingly a no double set. So there's some room in left center field.
Called strike 2, slightly off the plate, according to our Menard's pitchcast. Osuna strikes out Saladino on 3 pitches, and the Sox are down to their final out.
Could not have a better man up in a situation with the game on the line. Your number 1 run producer against their number 1 closer.
Jose 2 for 2 all time against Osuna. Winning run at first, tying run at second.
Outfield is deep enough now all the way around where on a base hit it's a tie game. Certainly the only question is if it's in the gap, can Leury score from first?
Abreu checks it up, takes ball 1. Davidson is on deck in case of a walk to Abreu. The hero from yesterday afternoon. Abreu in the air, right center field, long runs down. Engel scores. Garcia to third. We're tied at 6.
Two RBIs in the last 2 at bats. It's a cutter off the outside corner, and Jose goes out and gets it. Drops it right in front of Bautista. That leaves runners at the corners in a tie game.
Now you're a wild pitch away from stealing a victory, or a Matt Davidson laser for the 2nd straight day after 0 career walk-offs prior.
Zuna has a wild pitch this year.
Well, Osuna's got that hesitation in the leg kick.
Yeah. One of the things that Jose's got to do if they're going to play this defense, you got to take second base because it takes the force out of the equation.
Jose was off, and that ball fouled away by Davidson. Sox were down 6-0 at the 7th inning stretch. In the dirt, Abreu to second.
And nice block, game-saving block by Russell Martin, at least for the moment. Throws that breaking ball in the dirt. Martin does a nice job of not trying to catch it, just get down, angle the body, and it went trickling out in front of him.
Yesterday, Matt Davidson spent a small portion of his afternoon avoiding Gatorade as the pile met him on the infield. 2-2 on Davidson. Garcia at third, the winning run. Ball 3. What are you throwing here?
Well, with first base open, I'm throwing him a slider outside, and if he expands his zone, that's what you're looking for.
Everything away to Davidson in the at-bat. Pitch number 6. 3-2. Davidson, center field. He did it again. Matt Davidson. Second straight walk-off. 7-6 your final score. Oh, they got him this time.
Young man's going to remember this his entire life. 2 straight days in the middle of the season. He had walk-offs both games.
Down 6-0. The White Sox score 7 unanswered to say bye-bye to the Blue Jays on Monday night.
That was a slider low and away, and Matt did a great job of going out. The entire at-bat was spent away, as you mentioned early in the count, which was very observant. And also, Matt Davidson, that fact was not lost on him. He went out and got it. And here's the ensuing melee.
A game that for a moment looked like it might be unforgettable for an injury turned out significantly better, not only in injury news, but in results than you could have imagined just a couple innings ago.
Now, just a great finish to this one, and the hero, once again, Matt Davidson. We will see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Matt Davidson will be with Sierra during Subaru Post-Game Live, which is coming up next. So for our producer, Keon Dolachaki, director Jim Angio, associate producer Dave Ross, tech manager Mark Harper, and executive producer Jim Corno Jr. and our entire crew. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. So long from Guaranteed Rate Field. Coming up next, Subaru Post-Game Live. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on CSN. How about that one, kids?